UAW family and happy White Shirt Day. So I'm here to introduce our friend Bernie Sanders, but first, I want to thank the three candidates who showed up to listen and field our members' questions. And I'll tell you, we have members, I have members approach me sometimes and say, oh, we only support one party and all that, which is not true. We support people that support us. But I want to say this. We had a Republican candidate that didn't even bother to respond to this. And, it's one thing to think about, if he can't show up to answer your questions when he's running for Congress, do you believe he's going to show up and support us in the halls of Congress if he's elected? Hell no. Yeah. So, I really want to call out and thank these three for showing up and listening and taking questions and showing us they actually give a damn. And so I want to take a moment here and introduce our CAP team. And I don't see the list here, unfortunately. Because we have it's quite a few people here, but I want to recognize them because there's literally 20 people here that have busted their asses to set this conference up. And I want them to stand up here. I'm going to call their names out, but Ryan McManaman, don't see him. Harrison Ring, Renee Andrews, and they're kind of all over the place right now because I know they're still working their asses off. Yvonne Cash, all right. Ashley Lewis, Brad Schwanda, I think he's over here somewhere. Kelly Harrison, Dan Candlebinder, Ray O, 2B, Joe Taylor, Emily Myers, Tom Hensey, all right. Mark Dowell, Kevin Huddleston, Anthony Towner, Wentz Valentin, I see Aaron Eisenberg, yeah. Gina Liberty, Drew Kelly, I'm sure he's running around here somewhere. And of course, Art Reyes, who moderated the debate. Chris Zatratz from our national department. And I really got to tell you, these two, Alex Foley and Helen Brosnan, I mean, they've really worked their ass off to set this up. So I really want to thank all of them, and not just for this conference, but for the work that you all continually do in our regions and all through the country. We got a big agenda ahead of us, and this week we've laid out our core agenda. And we've gotten trained up and prepared to fight for our issues. We took our message to Capitol Hill and let our elected politicians know what we expect from them. And now it's time to take the fight back home. We need you to bring this energy that you have in here all week, this knowledge, and these issues back to your locals. Talk to your coworkers. Talk to your neighbors. Get organized and get ready. Because what we're building here, it's not just a conference. If we want to win, and if we want to continue to move mountains, we need a movement. So we've called out a lot of corporate bullshit this week. Politicians who've been bought off by billionaires. But there's another kind of political movement that's possible. One that's built of, by, and for the working class. And our next speaker knows all about building a movement. He's inspired millions of people to take action, to run for office, to go on strike. And he's built the most inspiring political movement I've seen in my lifetime. And I personally learned a hell of a lot from this man. And I know you all have too. So UAW family, I got to tell you, it's, talking about Bernie, I mean, there's not enough I could say about him. But I'd ask you to please join me in welcoming my friend, an ally for the UAW who never wavers, a true hero for the working class, the organizer-in-chief, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, it is a true honor to be with you this morning. And the reason for that is the UAW, since its inception over 100 years ago, has been one of the strongest forces in the United States of America in the fight for economic justice, racial justice, and social justice. Our entire country owes you a deep debt of gratitude for what you have done over the years and what you are doing today. Thank you, UAW. And it is a pleasure to be here with my good friend Shawn Fain, one of the outstanding trade union leaders in America, who is demanding that the working class of our country gets the respect and dignity that they deserve. I will never forget Shawn sitting down at the bargaining table, I think it was with Ford and Stellantis and GM, wearing his famous T-shirt, "Eat the Rich." That was a wonderful moment, I got to tell you. Not only for its lovely arrogance, but it's something, and this is true, I get around the country a lot, and I want you to believe me on this. What you did in those negotiations and the strength that you showed resonated all over this country. Do you all know that? It wasn't just the UAW, it wasn't even just the union movement. People who are being treated like crap, whether they're sitting in an office someplace and thrown out on the streets, their health care is being taken away from them. They saw a union standing up to some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in America, and they said, "You're going to treat us with respect and dignity." So thank you for what you did. And in those negotiations, you raised the wages for your members by at least 33% over a 4-year period. You eliminated, and I remember this, the disastrous two-tier wage system that treated new workers and temps as second-class citizens. You won the right to strike over plant closures, and you did not stop there. You put together a tremendous grassroots campaign to organize workers not just in the Midwest or in the East Coast, but in the South. And that is no small thing. I remember you were taking on all the governors in the South saying, "We don't want the union in here." Well, the workers felt a little bit differently. And so let me congratulate the 73% of the workers at the Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga. You guys showed an enormous amount of courage. Thank you. And just the other day, the UAW reached an agreement with Volkswagen to significantly increase wages, guarantee paid leave, improve health care benefits, and ensure that VW will not outsource union jobs overseas. Congratulations. And you've had success at the Daimler truck plant in North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. And let me commend the 1,200 maintenance workers, gardeners, and dining workers at Cornell University for winning a 21% wage increase and a strong COLA. And one of the things that impressed me during your negotiations with the Big Three was the UAW came forward and said, you know what, let's talk about a 32-hour work week. And I think people thought, you're a little bit crazy. What are you talking about, a 32-hour work week? But what Sean knew and what you know, and to me, I'm going to go to California just next week to deal with this issue. This AI and robotics is a huge threat to the working class of this country. All right? And when you talk about a 32-hour work week, what Sean and what all of you were saying is, okay, look, if you're going to bring in all this new technology, it's going to make us all more productive. We want that to do more than just make you richer and more profitable. We want some of that increased wealth as well. So you led the effort, but I want to tell you that what we should be very worried about is in this AI and robotics technological revolution, understand who is behind it. Do you guys know who's behind this thing? You got Elon Musk, who is a notorious union buster. He's the guy that threw tens of thousands of federal workers out on the street. And this is what he said, and I quote, Elon Musk, he's investing hundreds of billions of dollars into this technology. Quote, AI and robots will replace all jobs. Working will be optional, end quote. He is talking about having Tesla manufacture millions and millions of robots. That's what this guy is talking about. And if you think Elon Musk stays up nights worrying about the working families of this country, you got it backwards. He does not. Jeff Bezos, who's the 5th richest person in the world, has pushed his staff to think big and envision what it would take for Amazon to fully automate its operations, with plans to replace 600,000 warehouse workers at Amazon with robots. But it's not just blue-collar workers. You're not in this alone. It is white-collar workers as well. Your good friend Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, has predicted that AI will eliminate, quote, literally half of all white-collar jobs in the U.S. within the next decade. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, one of the big AI companies, predicted that, quote, AI could displace half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in the next 5 years. I, as the ranking member of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, we issued a report. And that report suggests, and I got to be honest, nobody knows exactly what is going to happen. So these are estimates, but they're serious estimates. We found that the AI, automation, and robotics could replace nearly 100 million jobs in America over the next decade, including 40% of registered nurses, 47% of truck drivers. You know these driverless cars? Well, you think about your friends who are driving a truck, driving a taxi, working for Uber or whatever it may be. 64% of accountants, 65% of teaching assistants, and 89% of fast food workers. If they have their way when you walk into a McDonald's, you're not going to be talking to a human being. The issue here, which is very profound, technology has always changed the world. The automobile changed the world. Electricity changed the world. Radio changed the world back then. Television changed the world. Computers changed the world. The internet changed the world. That ain't nothing compared to what we're looking at right now. This will be the most sweeping technological revolution in the history of humanity. And we have got to be prepared to say as loud and clear as we can that this technology is not just going to benefit the billionaires who own it, but it's going to work for the working families of our country. And let me tell you also what you know, is that at a time when the oligarchs have never had more power, you know, as U.S. Senator, it is a little bit hard to be dealing with this crazy guy in the White House, because every day there's something else that comes out. Apparently, and I'm sure you don't know this, but the President of the United States has said you're living in the strongest economy in the history of the world. You have never had it so good. I mean, it is, you wonder, you sit there and you think, how does somebody make that statement? What world is he living? Is he crazy, which may be the case? Okay, that explains it. Or maybe, more likely, the only people he hangs out with are billionaires. And you got to acknowledge, he's right, for his friends in the 1%, for Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg and all these guys, it is true. This is the best economy in the history of the world for the 1%. But hey, Mr. President, there's another 99% of people out there. Start paying attention to those people. And I want to say a word now, and it's important to do this because we don't know how we're going to get going in the future unless we know where we are right now. And sometimes it's a little bit painful and a little bit difficult to face up to the reality, because all of us are proud, so proud of our country. My dad came to this country at the age of 17 from Poland. He didn't have a nickel in his pocket. We never had any money. I grew up in a rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn, New York. But he lived the American dream in a sense that his two kids, my brother and I, were able to get a college education, something that would have been unthinkable for him growing up in poverty in Poland. And that's the story of many of us, of tens of millions of Americans. The American dream is we work hard to make life a little bit better for our kids. But unfortunately and tragically, because of the bloody greed of the people on top who want it all, that is no longer the case. Today in America, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. All right, let's stop and think about this. You are living in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. One guy, Mr. Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of American households. You got it? Let me repeat it in case you didn't hear it. One guy, one man, owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of American households. Meanwhile, at the same time, you got millions and millions of families who are worried about how they're going to pay for health care when their kid gets sick or when their mother can't afford prescription drugs. People who are worried what happens when the landlord raises the rent and you can't afford to pay that. What do you do with your kid? You got to go to a new school. Literally, what happens when your car breaks down and it's $1,000 to get it repaired and you don't have that $1,000 and you lose your job, and what happens to your family? People are worried about what happens with retirement. And I want to thank the UAW for raising that retirement issue to where it should be. Bottom line, in the richest country in the history of the world, tens of millions of people are literally struggling to get through the week. Despite huge, and it's not just a contemporary problem, despite huge advances, as all of you know, in technology and worker productivity. In other words, all of you, every worker in America is producing a lot more than he or she did 50 or 60 years ago. Real Weekly wages for the average American worker today are lower than they were 53 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? So you got all this increase in productivity, and yet real inflation accounted for weekly wages are lower today than they were 53 years ago. Meanwhile, at that same time, there has been a massive transfer of wealth. Tens of trillions of dollars have gone from the bottom 90% to the top 1%. So that's what the economy has been about. Workers working long hours, going nowhere economically, massive transfer of wealth going to the top 1%. But it's not only basic economics. We used to be the best educated country on earth, strong public school system, highest percentage of people graduating college, no longer the case. Today, working class families, talking to a kid the other day, looking at college, $80,000, $90,000 a year. Who the hell can afford that? We don't have the kind of trade schools that we need to allow kids to go out, get their hands dirty, and make a good living doing construction work or plumbing or whatever it may be. We used to have the best health care system in the world. No longer the case. Despite spending twice as much per capita on health care, people of any other nation get 85 million who are uninsured or underinsured. Used to have decent housing in America. Today you got 800,000 people who are homeless, and you got millions of people who are spending half their income on housing. The struggles that we are facing today are not just economic. Let's face the facts. And that America today, our political system is corrupt. Everybody knows it. As a result of this disastrous Supreme Court decision called Citizens United, billionaires can now buy the political process and buy politicians every day. So for all of you who are billionaires, and I know there are many of you here, you can simply start a super PAC and put as much money as you want into it to defeat candidates who stand up for the working class and elect candidates who support billionaires. Just one example, Mr. Musk himself spent $290 million to elect Donald Trump. So, I mean, that is not democracy. That is billionaires buying elections. And today we have, on top of that, a president who does not believe in the Constitution or the rule of law. As we speak, we have a domestic army called ICE occupying Minneapolis and St. Paul, terrorizing communities, kicking down doors, blasting their way in, taking 5-year-old kids to detention centers, illegally deporting people, and as we have seen, shooting down American citizens in cold blood. I want to say a word about that and what, in my view, that is all about. It's not about immigration. Yes, we want to get rid of undocumented criminals in this country. That's fine. Let's do that. We want a strong border. That's fine. But what demagogues like Trump throughout history have always done is they try to play off one group of people against another. So what they say, this is not, Trump didn't invent this playbook. It's what's always gone on. You got problems, you're not earning enough money, you can't afford housing, you don't have health care. You know whose fault it is? It's their fault. Maybe it's the Jews or the gays or blacks or Latinos, whoever it may be. Today it's the undocumented. That's who it is. It's their fault. It's not the fault of the billionaire class and corporate greed, but it is their fault. And ultimately, it's about racism. It's about turning one group of people against another. That's what they always try to do. And our job is to turn that equation around. Instead of letting them divide us up, we have got to stand together, black and white and Latino, Asian, gay, straight. Because they know what we know is the overwhelming majority of the American people understand that the economy is not working for working people. And when we stand together, which is essentially what the union movement is about, nobody in this room can go alone to the CEO of GM or Ford or Stellantis and say, hey, I need this and I need that. They'd laugh you out. You couldn't get in the office. The only way you get anything is when we stand together. And that's true of the union movement, but it is true, more broadly speaking, of democracy as a whole. We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. When we stand together, we can pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. When we stand together, we can take on corporate illegalities and pass the PRO Act so that any worker in America who wants to can join a union. Instead of cutting Social Security, as many of my Republican colleagues would like to do, when we stand together, we can expand and improve Social Security benefits. I remember last year when I was chairman of the Health Education Labor Committee, we had a hearing on pensions, and a woman from the UAW, I can't remember where she was from, maybe she's here, I don't know, came before the committee. This is what she said. She said her grandfather was a UAW member, and when he retired, and he's still alive, he is living with a very good pension, a better pension that she has. All right? The UAW fought and is fighting now for defined benefit pension plan. And we got to do that all over the country. Half of older workers have almost no savings for retirement. 20% of seniors in this country are living on less than $15,000 a year. How in hell do you do that? All right? So in the richest country on earth, it is not a radical demand to say that when people work their entire lives, when they retire, they know what they're getting, and that's guaranteed through a defined benefit pension plan. So here is where we are at right now. Let me close by saying this. Never before in history, American history, have so few had so much. We have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had. We have more concentration of ownership than we have ever had. We have people on top who not only are extraordinarily greedy, let me tell you, these guys do not believe in democracy. They want to be able, through their artificial intelligence and robotics, do whatever they want to do. And they don't want anybody to stop them. In many ways, they are like the 19th century kings throughout Europe who thought that God gave them the divine right to rule. They own everything. They own the political process. They have the divine right to rule. That's what they think. Brothers and sisters, not just for us, but for our kids and future generations, we have got to stand up to them and say, sorry, you do not have the divine right to rule. This country belongs to all of us, not a handful of billionaires. And throughout our history, as you all know, we have come through as a nation some very, very difficult times. And I have absolute confidence, led by the trade union movement, that we're going to come through this as well. We are going to create a society where all of our people have a decent standard of living. That is not a radical idea. Where people have decent housing built by union workers. Where all of our kids, from childcare to graduate school, have the quality education they need regardless of their income. These are not radical ideas. If we stay focused on fighting for an agenda that works for working families, we can accomplish that. If we let Trump and his friends divide us up, the end result will simply be that the rich get even richer and working people are thrown out on the streets. So, brothers and sisters, in this momentous, unprecedented moment in American history, let us stand together. Let us show the world what a great country like ours can be, and let us fight for the country that you and I know that we can become. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
All right.
All right. Let's give it up for Bernie Sanders again. You know, UAW family, we always close out our CAP conference with a tradition. I'm going to call out the International Executive Board now and our national CAP staff, all of our CAP staff out here. And we're going to close it out with solidarity forever. Nobody better to be here with us than Bernie Sanders, because he knows he's the definition of solidarity.
There can be no greater power anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never told to earn. But without a brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. For the union makes us strong.
Thank you, everybody, for a great week. Let's get to it.